What's happening, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Mac and Reed Show right here on Second City Gridiron. Follow at Second City Gridiron for all your Bears news. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you get the audio-only versions on Spotify, iTunes, etc. Remember, wherever you get the show, like, subscribe, tell a friend or two. Second City Gridiron. Look up all the great articles. Our other cohorts write at Windy City Gridiron, at WC Gridiron on social media. Check out all the live shows we have this week, Making Monsters, Bear and Balance, Bears Banter, Bear Bones, Bears Over Beers. The list goes on and on. Not to mention, wrap it up with Jacob right after the Bears games. And I'm at the Real Evan Mac.
Sure.
I think I might be. I'm reading past your superlatives as I like to. But his most played song of the year was Man Child by Sabrina Carpenter. He's picking up Ping Pong due to the Marty Supreme craze. And he has no New Year's resolutions. He is at Ross Reed on social media. It's Ross Reed, folks.
Yes, thank you. I agree with most of that.
Buddy, I didn't have a voice for the last week, too, so I'm just getting back into broadcasting shape here. A merry early New Year to you. I can take this off now. Our last show of 2025. How about it?
Yeah, as always, the holiday season, it goes so fast. We wrap it up. We got that weird, every time the holidays is kind of like in the middle of the week, it just throws you off for like 2 straight weeks. You don't remember what day it is. I was like sitting on the sofa on Saturday. I'm like, it could be Thursday. It could be Tuesday. I don't know. I don't care. We're going to drink some rum chata and coffee, whatever. Let's just have a blast. And
on vacation time.
Yeah. We'll hit the reset button on Monday next week and try to pick up the pieces from there.
No question. We got a lot to get to celebrate the Bears season and, of course, recapping the Bears' most recent loss, which was a crazy Sunday night football game against the 49ers, what to expect against the Lions, and our big takeaways from this year of 2025 that had a lot of great things for this Bears team and not too many bad things to talk about, which is nice. We'll talk about the NFL playoff picture later in the show, and then we'll do a brief recap of the year. And Ross has some television movie lists as well, and I'll have some thoughts on that, I'm sure, and ask him some other questions. So fun along the way, as again, this is our last show of 2025. What a year it's been. And, leading off, I'm not sure, we did predictions at the beginning of the season, and I think I said about 10-7, which was, to a lot of people, very surprising. I feel like, given a first-year head coach, given a second-year young quarterback, a lot of overhaul on offense and defense. And lo and behold, since the turn of this year, the Bears have, save a few games here and there. Bears have been a great football team to watch. They've been one of the more fun football teams to watch in the league. Certainly, you even go back to this loss, like, one of these losses where we're like, it didn't feel like a loss, even though, you did lose 42-38 to the 49ers and maybe lose some playoff jockeying position. You knew going into that game, NFC West is scary between the 49ers, the Rams, and the Seahawks. They're just all out to terrorize the NFC and perhaps one of them go to the Super Bowl. But, quite an impressive, if we can just touch on that, impressive game from Caleb Williams. It's the first time all season where he went over 300 yards on 42 attempts, which is also the most on the season. But all season long, he had not gone over 300 yards, which is ridiculous. But that puts him a little over 3,700 yards. So it looks like he's very close to breaking that single-season record for Bears quarterback and close to perhaps eclipsing 4,000 yards. But the long balls of Luther Burden, the long balls, the free play to Colston Loveland, a lot of great throws that only he could be making and has been making all season long. Really impressive when you consider, too, a game-winning drive when the Bears had, I think, 6 within 2 minutes, which is the most of a team ever, game-winning drives in this season, which is just ridiculous. And, just coming up short, I will take that. I think Ben Johnson takes some blame. Caleb takes some blame. Maybe, didn't get the formation right we heard about that you maybe wanted. Maybe just under duress, they just ran out of that perfect play. So, and there were some drops to be blamed on that drive as well. And throughout the game, the narrative has always been the defense bailing out a Bears offense, but now we're seeing, this is a completely different team around Caleb Williams and company. But what a difference that overhauled offensive line makes. Some new weapons, a brilliant new coach for Caleb Williams, the hard work, that growth as a man and as a pro football player is so cool to see. And for all the doubters, you saw it on a huge stage in hostile territory. He is that dude. He had to bail out that defense that was awful repeatedly the entire game, even though they forced a couple punts and a turnover. That was about it. That was the good for the defense. But the stock on Caleb way up, and Ross, leading this team to an NFC North title, helping lead this team. I think you felt similarly after that game Sunday night. He's just really something else to watch, and certainly that quarterback of the future for the Bears.
He is. I mean, I think we came away from that game on Sunday saying, that was probably his best game of his NFL career. And then if you look back at this season, I feel like we've said that 3 or 4 times now. So that tells you he is consistently getting better as the season goes along. He's playing his best brand of football near the end of the year, which is exactly what you want. Hopefully he can finish it off with a home game against the Lions. I like Ben Johnson coming out this week and saying, we're playing to win. We're going to play the starters. We're going to go out there, for all intents and purposes, he's going to go back-to-back years of making every single start, which I think is also an achievement within itself after the injuries that we've seen at the quarterback position in Chicago and around the league. But also he's going to be able to break the franchise record in passing yards, which, it's an arbitrary situation, but I think it's important given the fact that that franchise record has held up for so long. And we've never had a guy that we felt this good about before. And he has an outside shot at 4K. I mean, listen, we don't know what this Lions team is going to be coming in with, but I think also to, if he does go down and get 4,000 yards and be the first time in franchise history, I mean, he's just constantly showing us week after week now that this is our guy. And I think I'm at the point with him right now, and I hope Bears fans get there too. I no longer am like surprised or shocked at the big plays that he's making or what he's doing. At this point, I just kind of expect it. And that's what you expect when you have good quarterbacks, when you have prime Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, and even what Drake May is doing right now. Some of these guys, you expect them to make, your Josh Allens of the world and Mahomes, you expect them to make these plays 3 to 5 times a game. And that's what he's doing right now. And so I feel, regardless of what happens going into the playoffs, I feel so good about the growth that he has done this year from when we think about starting the season, the Minnesota game, even the week before that, you had the Ty Dunn article that was pretty glaring and everybody was nervous. And you fast forward to the day before 2025 ends, and I feel like he's checked virtually every single box. And he's been, I think, equally as important. He's been an awesome teammate. I think he has been an amazing ambassador for the franchise. And he is turning into be a young man that not only the Bears fans in the city of Chicago love, but I think he's turning into an NFL darling, which, again, another narrative of him coming out from college was, this guy's difficult. This guy wants to own part of the team, and he's a me person, this and that. And that could be nothing but further from the truth right now. And so I'm just very proud of him and his development this year. And he played his ass off on Sunday, man. I thought he left it all out there, and that was a really special game by both quarterbacks. Shout out to Brock Purdy as well. But for Caleb to go on the road on Sunday Night Football and have that kind of performance, missing like Roman Dunze and stuff like that, I think that was just a really special performance from him.
Yeah, I know that Bears fans would rather really shut Brock Purdy and company up with his Dougie, and DeAndre Swift slapping away the Dougie was the celebration of the game, only second to, maybe a second, I should say, to Luther Burden's celebration that he had for his touchdown was excellent.
Like flash dance or something? Like, what was that, right?
It looked like a little flash dance, yes. It was pretty excellent. He's just one of the swaggiest players on this Bears team. And I should say, Caleb, yeah, I echo everything you said. And, even the sort of shortcomings that we see, or Chris Collinsworth points out, like, he's got to make that throw. It's like, look at the other throws he made. And, to all the detractors with the completion percentage, he's minimizing mistakes where he's not forcing these throws and throwing into double coverage and maybe creating turnovers that would shift the tide of a game to the other team. So I think he played. I mean, obviously you come up short in the game-winning drive. You're going to put a lot of that blame on yourself. Ben Johnson took some blame as well, or put some blame on himself rather. But so did the defense, right? And the defense just has to be better. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But I'd say on the note of the weapons of the Bears, I don't remember a draft where you get offensive weapons like Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, who are as productive and as involved as they have been. And it took a little while to get going, but Colston Loveland was outstanding. He had, one crucial drop, but other than that, a touchdown. And he's just been something else to watch. And our own Jacob Infante tweeted, since week 8, the NFL rookies in receiving yards, ranks in receiving yards, Colston Loveland with 451, and Luther Burden's at third with 361. It's special. And you've seen how this Bears team really got rolling around then too. And this offense is one of the best in the league. And a lot of folks hyping it up as a potentially championship caliber offense, whereas the shortcomings are the defense. And who thought we would get a flu game type of performance from Darnell Wright, and then not so good flu game from DJ Moore, who had one catch for 7 yards, who was just really out there just to play at this point. He did not look 100%, unfortunately, which is just kind of the gamble you get. And again, what you said, without Rome Odunze, without your number one, with Caleb able to do what he did, it was something else. The run game took a little while to get going, but this offense, all you take away from it is certainly that they were able to keep pace with this 49ers offense that is top 5, and they were missing, George Kittle and Trent Williams, but they still, you could see, are up there with that upper echelon of the NFL.
100%. And here's why you feel good about, the future going forward for the Bears, right? You start to look at the offensive weapons that you have. Your trigger man, Caleb Williams, he's 24 years old, and he is embarking on potentially getting 4,000 yards this season. Colston Loveland, your first-round pick, he's only 21 years old. He's only 21 years old. He has 622 receiving yards this year and 48 receptions and 5 touchdowns. So he has come on strong. Talk about Luther Burden. Luther Burden is only 22 years old. He also has 600 yards. Rome Odunze, we haven't seen him for weeks. He was on pace for 1,000 yards. He's going to finish the season at 661 yards. He's only 23 years old. And then, by the way, your 7th round running back, Kyle Monangai, he's only 23 years old as well. And he has 769 rushing yards on the season. And so you start to look at that and you're like, man, the Bears have a wealth of riches going forward to really build out this offense with a lot of young guys. And you start to feel good because this core group is just going to continue to grow and progress going forward. You've got your other guys like DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. They're going to be equally as important. Those guys are still young too. They're not really approaching 30 years old as well. But that core group that I just mentioned, that's why you feel really good about being a Bears fan going forward. Is we just have not had an offense of that caliber with that youth and the talent. I'm 44 years old. I've never seen it in my lifetime. You've got some of the Mike Martz offenses, and you got some of the Trustman offenses, but it didn't have this capability and this amount of talent, especially at that age point. I mean, you said it. Luther Burden and Colston Loveland, they have the potential going forward to be top 5 at their respective positions, and that's some special stuff. If you can get that Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill kind of trajectory or trio going forward with the Bears, I mean, that's just really, really special. Those guys are going to continue to grow and to blossom. What I love about all of them is the moment doesn't seem too big for them. That was a big time game to go up against what I think should be we'll talk about it later. I think the 49ers should be the favorite in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl, because they have the pedigree, because they have the play caller. They're potentially getting Fred Warner back to go on the road in that environment on Sunday Night Football and stand in the middle of the ring and go blow for blow with them. I mean, the Burden touchdown pass and catch, outstanding. The wherewithal from Caleb Williams to do his best Aaron Rodgers impression and know he has a free play. And Colston Loveland darts down the field. This guy looks like a freaking gazelle running down the field at his size. And he goes up there and high points the football for a touchdown. That's just special stuff, man. And that's why I think we should all be excited about the immediate future, because we still have playoff games to talk about. but also going forward into 2026 season and beyond.
A top 10 season, 3,730 yards for Caleb Williams. He's top 10 in all statistics, 25 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. And again, the only thing you feel like he's missing of this in his bag, so to speak, is certain throws where you miss the accuracy, like a wide open, Devin Duvernay maybe scores that winning touchdown for the Bears when he's trying to throw off his back foot and just, gets it a little short. But that's, on the protection as well. And there's just a lot of different ways that game could have went. And we have to talk about the bad too. And that defense from the Bears outside of the first play of the game where they intercepted Brock Purdy for a pick six, you're like, all right, this Bears team came to play. Never anything like that. I mean, Austin Booker was probably the lone bright spot to me getting after Brock Purdy, but even he was juked out of his cleats when Brock Purdy threw that touchdown to Kyle Juszczyk, which led to another Dougie. But I mean, again, that's, to me, it's that type of learning experience where you almost think that it's, I wouldn't say it's better. You never want to lose a football game like that, but the silver lining is that you really look in the mirror and you learn, like, this is the top. This is what we're up against. This is up there with the Detroits and the Rams and the Seahawks. 49ers, like you said, are the class of the NFC. They've just been, there's a reason they've been able to get past the injuries to Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, all these guys, these studs that you mentioned. And Trent Williams didn't even come back because he knows he's going to be in the playoffs as well. And your George Kittle, for that matter, too. I echo what you said. So it's tough, but, even those few stops that they get, you kind of hang your hat really well. And there were a couple inches away from maybe causing another turnover or making a stop there. But they were gashed completely. And that looked like, the defense that we have come accustomed to on the road, unfortunately, for this Bears team, where even like at a healthier complement right now, right? I know they're missing Kyler Gordon, but you got TJ Edwards, you got Tremaine Edmonds, like, Montez Sweat has got to be better out there. What you got from Booker was great, but there were little calls like the CJ Garner Johnson, like, fake face mask call was complete BS. We all know that in the replay, and it led to a 49ers touchdown. But, the secondary, especially when they were just getting, and Nahshon Wright, who, everybody was saying Bears sent some guys to the Pro Bowl. Nahshon Wright was snubbed to a lot of people, basically, with his ability to have takeaways, but he was on skates the entire game, going against Ricky Pearsall, just again, getting turned around left and right. And the same could be said for the rest of these guys who are, supposedly going to be really leaned heavily on, especially going into the playoffs. But look at just next week against the Lions. So, like, to you, Ross, what are you doing, if you're Dennis Allen and the defense regrouping, preparing for Detroit at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I think that you went against arguably the best play caller in the league on Sunday in their home. And so I don't want to put – I think the defense is a concern, obviously, but I don't want to put too much out there because I think Kyle Shanahan just is that good. And I think Brock Purdy also, he should demand more respect than what he gets. People call him a system QB or something like that. The guy can flat out ball. He's taken his team to a Super Bowl already. When he's healthy, he's on the football field. Oh my God, he's a tremendous quarterback. I think him and Caleb, those are two guys that you would take going forward in the NFC for the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, that's how good that they're playing right now. And then, of course, Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey, it's tough to slow him down. I think what stood out to me from defense on Sunday was the lack of team speed that the Bears had at all three levels of their defense. Montez Sweat just looked very slow out there against the 49ers. The linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds especially, also looked very slow. Obviously, he's coming back from an injury, so we don't know what his conditioning and his health is like. And then the secondary as well, they were just getting torched out there, and they weren't able to keep up with guys like Ricky Pearsall and Jennings and stuff like that. So I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest concern. I also think the Bears defense plays better at home. It's always like the old Charles Barkley adage when he says, the role players in the playoffs play better at home than on the road. I think the Bears defense is very similar to that. So that's all the reason why you do want to win this game on Sunday and get this 2 seed, because you do want to get as many home games as possible in the playoffs, because I do think that defense tends to feed off of the crowd and the energy and the cold a lot more than going on the road. So yeah, I think this is a very important football game, mostly for them coming up on Sunday. And you want to be able to, it's a get right game too. You want to kind of get the bad taste in your mouth of what just happened this past Sunday night, because like Jaquan Brisker said, he said, we let the offensive down, and he's right. They did, because you kind of squander an awesome Caleb Williams performance like that. You know, he does everything that he theoretically could. And yes, those are going to be games like that all the time, especially as you get to the playoffs, where it's going to be like whoever has the ball last, scores or something, or comes closer to scoring and winning. So, but I think the defense is going to be addressed quite a bit in the offseason, especially knowing what you have on the offense with the youth that you have. They're going to have to get a little bit younger on defense, and certainly a lot faster. In the meantime, what you could potentially do going forward, I think the Bears played a lot of zone this past Sunday, and I think it burned them a lot. So I'd be curious to see if Dennis Allen goes to a little bit more man, but obviously still doesn't want to get beat over the top. So you need to have some safety help over the top as well to limit the big plays.
I like the maturity of the defense. And you talked about Jaquan Brisker, who said, quote, "We let the offense down." I'm going to say it. We let the offense down, period. I feel like Caleb and them, they gave us enough points to do what we had to do to win. The defense didn't. You heard Ben Johnson too talking about the field goal drive where they came up short and probably should have had a touchdown. There's accountability across the board, and it when you play against these titans of the NFC and of the league, it is going to make you better. You learn like what you did wrong. You're going to get back into practice and learn about the tape, and you're practicing. It helps certainly that you're practicing against one of the best offenses in the league now. When you got to practice against Caleb Williams every day, it'll make you better, I feel like. So I feel like we've seen this before. It's a down game. And to your point now, as we're shifting the focus to the Lions, you talk about a get right game and getting the bad taste out of your mouth. The taste has not left my mouth of that 52-21 drubbing. And I know that certainly with Ben Johnson, going back into Detroit in that hostile environment, and the Bears as a whole, just getting smacked like that, they want to completely turn that narrative around, and they want to, show that they are the new top dogs and have earned that NFC North crowd, and they want to split that season series with the Lions. Lions don't have anything to play for besides just being spoiler, obviously being eliminated at this point. And our own Bill Zimmerman made that good point. Like, when did even, resting players become a question at this point? And whether it be the 2 or 3 seed, you can't just, it's about, and to that end too, I feel like I always go back and forth about that number 1 seed. If the Bears were even in play for that, the bye is nice, but keep that momentum going and keep learning on what you have just done. And I think week to week, improving on what you just did. I think this Bears team really thrives upon that and has shown that in the second half of the season, especially. It's been tough. And now to finish this season, obviously, coming off that high of Green Bay, and then to go and perform like that, they can still finish on a high note. And then, the road first round at least goes through Soldier Field, and potentially, if that 1 seed comes out, then who knows? Might go throughout the rest of the season. But the keys to the game remain the same to me, where you really have to. I liked your point about there was too much zone against the 49ers. I think that should be, the play calling from Dennis Allen as well. I did like that. They did try to mix up the blitz packages and the coverages a little bit more. I think that, I'm on Ross St. Brown is a problem. Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, like another all-world running back that you have to account for. And then David Montgomery is more in between the tackles. So it's really, you have your own, what Swift and Monungai have been this year too, where they've been a 1-2 punch that's really reckoned with. They're the original, obviously, Sonic and Knuckles in that regard. But Detroit's defense, trying to get healthy at this right time too, can cause a lot more problems for Caleb Williams. But at Soldier Field, we want to see them run the football. We want to see what really, got them these wins in the first place, and just a heavy dose of Kyle Monungai and leaning on their all-pro, their Pro Bowl players, and just completely revamped offensive line. And, it's been a lot of feast or famine with the turnovers, and I love that they get at least a turnover a game and have, got points off of it this last go around. I think Jared Goff, it's the opportunity is ripe to, make it a tough game for him, the way that Austin Booker has been playing, peaking at the right time too. So look for him to have another big game.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of game. Listen, this is a Lions team that just lost last week on Christmas Day to the Vikings and Max Brosmer 23-10. They seem like, for all intents and purposes, they laid down last week. These guys coming in Sunday, they're about 3 hours away from jumping on an airplane and spending the next couple of weeks in Cancun. So oblige them. let them, you hit them in the mouth early and let them go lay down. And they don't want to be in cold Soldier Field on a Sunday. These guys want to be in an airport going to somewhere tropical and warm. Their season is done. I think the Bears have to impose their will on both sides of the football at the line of scrimmage early in this football game. You want to be able to get back to running the football. I know we want to get Caleb Williams some potentially 4,000 yards and things like that, but also you want to get these offensive linemen kind of lathered up and worked up, get back to running the football consistently again, because you're going to need that running game in the playoffs when they start a couple of days later. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you got to get some pressure on Jared Goff. We know how Jared Goff operates in cold weather outdoors. It's not the same as when he's indoors. Amon-Ra St. Brown is coming this game banged up. We don't know if he's I'm sure he's going to give it a go because that's just the kind of guy he is. But I don't know if he even plays the whole game, if maybe they pull him. Jahmyr Gibbs has been struggling, as of a couple of weeks. I think if you kind of push them around early and control the line of scrimmage, I think Detroit will be able to lay down. And hopefully the Bears can put their stamp on this game, this season. I think you hit it on the head. If you want to be the Kings of the North, you have to consistently beat the teams in your division, which means that, coming away with one more NFC North win to finish the season would just be absolutely perfect. And that'd give you a little bit of juice in this city and this fan base and that locker room, some juice before they head into the playoffs. I always think, especially in the NFL, because it is such a week-to-week league, you at least want to finish off your season, especially when you're playing that wild card, you're playing on that wild card weekend with a win, so you can kind of, carry that momentum in there. And let's see if they can go on another run. And, why can't they go to the Super Bowl? Right? Even though I think the 49ers are the favorite this year, it's about as wide open as it gets in either conference. So you get some guys back healthy. Hopefully Luther Burden is going to be okay. I know he had a bruised quad coming off of that game. I'm pretty sure Roman Duze will rest for one more game, and maybe you get him back for the wild card. In fact, I'm pretty sure you will get him back for the wild card game, and maybe you get a guy like Kyler Gordon back, and let's see if we can go make a run. But it starts. You can't look past this game on Sunday, in my opinion. You want to be able to beat these guys so that you can carry that momentum into the next weekend, because you're probably or there's a very good chance you're going to see the Green Bay Packers for a third time.
Oh boy. Yeah. We'll talk about the potential matchup in a moment, but again, talking about the Lions performance, we've heard it all week. And I know that Ben Johnson is instilling that in his guys. Like, they put up 52 on you in week 2, and look at you now. Like, it's not about that last game. It's about currently how this team is playing and how they are peaking at the right time and can really just smack the Lions in the mouth and, again, send them off to Cancun, like you said, Ross. And if you're keeping score at home, Ross has used all intents and purposes 2 times in the show. I love that. And I agree with you, man. This is a completely different Bears squad where they, have taken this certainly. It's always been personal. It's always one of the tougher divisions, where you saw it with that Vikings-Lions game on Christmas. The Vikings said, screw it. We got nothing to play for, but we can play spoilers and really, send Lions packing here, which it would be great. And I think, this Bears team has all that potential that we talk about, from a perhaps Super Bowl caliber type team. Like, there's going to be holes in all these teams, whether you talk about Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers. And then you talk about the AFC, which we'll talk about in a little bit, with, the likes of Denver and New England, who are leading the pack right now. But I mean, there's a lot to be said about being opportunistic, playing at home, and the Bears are just seemingly a team of destiny at this point. And certainly a lot of credit to Caleb Williams and to a first year head coach in Ben Johnson, who took the reins of this team, and credit to the assistants like Al Harris and company, who have really turned the positional, outlook around for these units too.
Mhm.
On the injury tip, I think it's important you get Rome healthy for round one. So if you and with Luther Burden, it looks like luckily he kind of avoided a major injury. He played it off saying I was just dead tired, and
Mhm.
getting hard off the field never looks good. Hopefully he's a go, because you certainly need him. You don't want another squad just led by DJ Moore and then Zacchaeus, who's that flu bug just going around the Bears locker room. Hopefully
Yeah.
they're all over that and can be completely healthy and locked in for their last regular season game at Soldier Field. The question for me, Ross, and you seem to have kind of alluded to it earlier in the show, with what is it, 270-ish yards to go for 4,000 yards. Does Caleb Williams eclipse 4,000 yards on the season?
Ooh, buddy. And he is at 37-30 right now. To go with his 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, which is highly, highly impressive, man. He's got a 1.1 interception ratio right now, which I think is the lowest to start a career with 500 passing attempts. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure he broke a record held by his the guy he admired the most in Aaron Rodgers. But I'm going to say no, he doesn't get there. As much as I would love to see him eclipse that mark, I think he will show up or come up just a little bit short, primarily because I do think the Bears are going to be a lot more effective against the Lions at running the football. And so I think he'll finish right around 215-ish, which I think is just fine. It's funny because I'm reading a stat right now from NFL researcher account on Twitter X that said Caleb Williams leads the league in most drop passes for yards, meaning yards that were left on the table due to drop passes,
Right.
which were 370 yards total. He's number one in the league. So there was your 4K right there, just in the drop passes this year. And everybody has drop passes, but having 370 yards left on the table due to drop passes that sucks. But I think things like that will get cleaned up next year. Right? Caleb Williams has plenty of time to go over 4,000 yards multiple times in his career. The most important thing, get the win on Sunday, get out of this game healthy. I'd still like to see him at least break the franchise record, and then we'll worry about 4,000 later. But listen, if 4,000 shows up because Luther Burden broke one for 80 yards or a little bubble screen to Monangai and he takes off for 70 yards, then as our favorite rappers of the year for clips will say, so be it.
So be it. That's right. I'm of the same mindset. I think he's probably coming up a little short of the 4,000 yards, but he gets the record for Bears franchise quarterback, which is great. It looks like Detroit favored by 1.5 right now. Matchup predictions largely just, the Bears, even at home, getting picked against right now at this point, but it got flexed to another Tom Brady, Kevin Burkhardt game, 3:25 on Fox. And for those who are wondering why I missed last week or why we were off last week, I had still lost my voice from that Bears-Packers game when Tom Brady was last at Soldier Field and Kevin Burkhardt, and I got to yell at Tom, "Look what we did." And it was epic. So he might just be that good luck charm too against the Lions on Sunday, and send him out. Like, the Bears fans deserve this too. Not just the longtime season ticket holders, but those who, scrimped up some money for a very expensive. I mean, just looking at those playoff tickets. Good God, good Lord, take out that second mortgage and sell some jewelry. My God, man, it's tough to go to a playoff game for sure. But it's been such a great season. Let's cap it off right and get a dub against the Lions. We will give our predictions at the end, of course. But looking at the playoff picture, Ross, and I talked about it, Seattle now at 13-3. They've leapfrogged, the Rams for a number one spot now. And they have just looked really impressive, just winning ugly, however they get it done. I mean, it's certainly winning very ugly. We could appreciate some of those, earlier Caleb Williams performances weren't that great, but the Bears were able to gut out games like that. Like, the same could be said with, Sam Darnold, and somehow Jackson Smith and Jigba makes that team that much better. And the defense just very opportunistic. They are for sure in that Super Bowl contending conversation at 13-3 right now, along with the other NFC West teams that I talked about, the Rams dropped to 6 after that loss to the Falcons last night. But the Bears are sitting at 2 right now. The Eagles at the 3 seed, Panthers at 4. But don't look now. Tampa is not technically eliminated. San Francisco at 5. Like I said, Rams at 6. But Green Bay at 7. And then the AFC, the Broncos, the Patriots, the Jaguars at 1, 2, 3. Steelers and Ravens, this is a big weekend for them, to see who represents the AFC North, and then the Texans at 5, and then the Chargers at 6, and the Buffalo Bills, a dangerous 7th seed. If it was Patriots, Bills, boy, look out. That would be something else. Otherwise, all those other teams are eliminated that I did not mention. On that Bears tip, though, Ross, do you have an opinion either way of even if you're going through Soldier Field, do you want to be playing Green Bay? Do you want to be playing the Rams? Do you want to be playing the 49ers at this point? Or is it just
Yeah, I mean,
whoever it is, so be it.
Yeah, whoever it is, so be it, right? I think there's pluses and minuses with all three factors, right? I think the minus is it's tough to play a team like Green Bay for the third time in the season. We've seen the Bears do it before in the playoffs, but they are probably the team that I feel the best about beating at home, just because I think the Bears have played them very tough and they're starting to kind of figure it out a little bit. Obviously, we fully expect Jordan Love to be back for that game, but Michael Parsons out there is huge. I think the offense will be able to move the football on them. I mean, obviously, we've got a comment here earlier from Ralph Love that, it is a little concerning that the Bears have not been able to stop them consistently in the red zone. But I do think that, especially if they get a guy like Kyler Gordon back, I think Jalen Johnson is looking a little bit better getting there. Hopefully Tremaine Edmonds is getting there as well. I think the key to them is really shutting down Josh Jacobs and not letting Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs beat you over the top. So if you kind of force them to dink and dunk down the field, I feel better about Jordan Love coming into Soldier Field. Matthew Stafford is a little bit of a different player in the cold on the road, but he, even though he's had a rough couple weeks and probably lost the MVP after last night, I don't like seeing Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan if I can avoid those guys, especially because both of them have gone on the road in cold weather environments and have proven that they don't have an issue with that. And I think those two brilliant offensive minds, even though LaFleur is also brilliant, they would concern me against that Bears defense. I think I would maybe put the Rams second, though, if I had to choose. I don't want to see this 49ers team at all until we absolutely have to. I just think that they are the best team in the NFC. What they've been able to do with all the injuries that they have, and then the possibility of getting Fred Warner back just terrifies the crap out of me. I want to see those guys as far down the line as possible, or let somebody else try and beat them, wear them down until maybe we eventually have to get to them. So give me Green Bay first, Rams second, 49ers third, if I'm power ranking who I'd want to see in the playoffs early.
Yeah, the Bears saw it firsthand against the 49ers when they got 300 yards in the first half. They could just do nothing to stop Brock Purdy outside of that, pick six that they got off of him, a couple punts. But otherwise, McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, they were all really clicking and doing what they've done because of, the coaching that you talk about. And they're only, 2-3 years removed from some late runs into some long runs into late into the playoffs. And with the Rams, I like your odds there. Certainly I feel like Matt Stafford has kind of become a warm weather quarterback and really just plays really well at SoFi. I like the draw of the Packers because you've played them twice. You sort of know what to expect and how to beat Jordan Love and how to force him to make the big plays if you can shut down Josh Jacobs. But this all leads up to, a pretty big, maybe not for these teams that we mentioned, but the rest of the playoff picture in terms of Panthers and Bucks, like I talked about, both vying for a playoff berth. And then the Steelers and Ravens are playing on Sunday Night Football. And then, in the NFC West, you're looking at some great competition throughout that division. Seahawks and 49ers are on Saturday. So you get Panthers, Bucks on Saturday, Seahawks, 49ers. Otherwise, not really too much meaningful football in terms of who's, punching a ticket and who's not. But, seeding, it becomes very important, certainly with the Lions and the Bears, and just for pride of the NFC North at this point. But like in the AFC, Ross, who are you really liking right now between the teams that I mentioned? I think the Texans, you can't ignore how great they've been in this late in the season. I think with CJ Stroud and the defense, really one of the best in the league.
Mhm.
And I think Jaguars peaking at the right time. We talked about the head coaching change they made at the beginning, to begin the season, and then Patriots and Broncos at 1A, 1B right now. They're both 13-3, just very impressive young quarterbacks and great coaching around them. But the Bills as a 7 seed is super dangerous to me, and obviously this is the first time in a long time we'll say that the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs. But yeah, who you liking coming out of the AFC if I was to make you pick today?
Yeah, I feel like right now I'm probably leaning towards either the Texans or the Jaguars, just because both teams are playing complete football right now against other good football teams. And I think that's a big caveat for me. I know the New England Patriots have been awesome, but the New England Patriots over the last 10 weeks have only beaten one team with a winning record. They're beating up on some cake puff teams there. Now they're probably going to get Will Campbell back here to start the playoffs. They'll get some other guys back on their defensive line, but I feel like they are not battle tested enough during the season for me to rely on them right now. When I look at the Broncos, awesome defense. I can never get there with Bo Nix in a big spot, and I think that's a big thing for me. Everybody knows I'm a huge Bo Nix hater. I just can't get there with the guy. He's going to have to prove it for me. But when I look at the way Trevor Lawrence is playing right now, and the way Liam Cohen has that offensive humming right now, they are a very, very dangerous football team. And I think the most dangerous team in that conference is the Houston Texans because of the way they're able to play defense. If CJ Stroud can stay cooking and spread the football around, he's taking some deep shots right now down the football field. If Woody Marks can stay on the football field also and continue to elevate that running game, the Texans, to me, are so dangerous just because of what they can do on defense. They can make a lot of these quarterbacks that are not as battle-tested, like your Bo Nix, like your Drake May. They can make their life a living hell for a full game. The Bills are interesting because I look at the Bills and Josh Allen, he just doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look the same Josh Allen, like that Superman that we always see. And if he can't be Superman for that football team because he's probably nursing some nagging injuries right now, they just don't have enough talent around him to elevate that team right now. He is that entire football team. James Cook is awesome. He's had a great year, but on their receivers have been very lackluster. They don't play great defense. And so Josh Allen has to put that team on his back every single week. And I watch him even this past Sunday. I'm just like, this does not look like a guy that is healthy. He missed a throw at the end of the game that should have beaten the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, they didn't complete a pass the whole second half. And so the game was right there for Josh Allen in the elements where he usually shines, and he missed it. And the quarterbacks, I get it, they miss throws all the time. But Josh Allen just doesn't miss those throws. I look him out there, and I'm like, this just doesn't look like the same guy. And it looks like he's kind of taken a beating this year, and that's caught up to him a little bit. So as much as you usually don't say bet against like the Josh Allens of the world, but we used to say about Mahomes too, and he's not in the playoffs this year. So I think I look towards like the Texans in the Jaguars. I'm just like, why not? This reminds me a lot of that year where I think I said this before, where Brady tore his ACL early, and we got the Matt Castle run, which ended up in the Cardinals versus Steelers Super Bowl. It was just the most random Super Bowl that you can think of, and it's like, why can't the Jaguars and Bears be in the Super Bowl, right? We can totally see 10 years from now. Like, remember that Super Bowl where Caleb Williams and the Bears went on that run, and then they played CJ Stroud, and then everybody was talking about when CJ big broed him that one time the year before, and then they met again. Like, I can 100% see that happening. So, I kind of like those two teams in the AFC.
We see that, it's a changing of the guard type of year, right? Where you see that first year without the Chiefs. And I know that the Eagles are back in the playoffs or will be back in the playoffs. And, they're a year removed from a Super Bowl run. They're in their dynasty, but they do not look like that same Eagles Super Bowl team of last year, especially when you talk about what you talked about, Ross, and their inability in the passing game. And the Bills is just so tough because they're top 5, offensive yards per game team and rushing yard per game team with James Cook and company, really just taking a lot of pressure off Josh Allen. He's going to gut it out, but it feels like it's on to the young upstarts, whether it be, Denver, or if you like New England and what they're doing right now. Certainly, in the AFC, that seems like to be the picture at this point. And what Ralph said, should we go after Diggs? That's a hard no, my friend. After the recent, strangulation and assault charges.
That's a different Diggs. That's his brother, but yeah.
Oh, Trayvon. Yeah, I'm sorry. Isn't that funny that both are in the news though? Trayvon Diggs, I also don't want any part of, but for different reasons.
He's rough day to be a Diggs.
He's been a ghost, but it's a rough day to be the Diggs.
Yeah, Trayvon didn't strangle anybody, but he has been burnt toast, and by burnt toast I mean he's given up a passing rating this year of over 150. So when teams target him, they tend to eat very well against Trayvon Diggs. And coming off of what we just saw on Sunday against the 49ers, no, thank you. We don't need any more guys out there that are going to get absolutely cooked by the other team's wide receivers. I think we'll be fine with just what we have right now.
Agreed. All right, Ross. Any other NFL notes before we move on to the big finale?
No, it's bittersweet. It's the last.
It always is.
We don't have a Thursday night game, and we get two very exciting Saturday night games, but unfortunately, we're nearing the end, and that's the crappy part. Is a couple weeks from now, about a month from now, I got to go back to talking to my family on Sundays and just doing things that I don't want to do, rather than sinking myself into a sofa for 10 hours and watching football. So the playoffs is always fun, but it always makes me a little sad because it means that we are coming to the end of a season that I feel like just started yesterday.
You got to really focus on the NBA after this, Russ. And but again, you have about a month and change before that really happens. It should be a really fun January. Always better when we're talking about the Bears playing some January football as well. But let's go to the big finish, Ross, and talking about the end of 2025. It's almost in the books. It was the year of 6-7, whatever the hell that means. Still don't know. It was the year of,
it gets a lot of use in my house, as you can imagine, with a 9-year-old.
I was about to say, only Bradley knows. Year of the Diddy sentencing, AI continuing its domination of us all, from Chat GPT type services to AI actors. Am I real or AI? I don't even know anymore. Send a bunch of female celebs to space, allegedly. Some folks got caught cheating on the kiss cam at a Coldplay concert. We got Taylor Swift engaged. Chicago got themselves a pope in the Vatican. Usual natural disasters, war, all that sort of stuff. Our truly unique president deploying some idiots to tackle immigration issues in our fair city. The Louvre got robbed. What else we got? One Superman Rose is the new face of the franchise in a reboot, while Dean Cain is recruiting for ICE. Speaking of those folks, late night shows trying to do their jobs and voice their opinions while using humor, while the government contributes to their end and what looks like the end of the medium of late night television, which is just crazy. But the writing's been on the wall for a while. In sports, Jake Paul finally fought a boxer in his prime and got whooped. The Eagles won a Super Bowl sort of in early 2025. OKC winning an NBA title. The Dodgers winning another World Series title, making it back-to-back. And the Panthers won back-to-back Stanley Cups. Ross's favorite pop darling, Sabrina Carpenter's still around. Pop is a weird place, man. I can't get on it. But hip hop had a hell of a year with projects from Tyler, the Creator, Jid, Freddie Gibbs. We had albums from already established icons like Nas and De La Soul and Slick Rick. That Nas album with DJ Premier was great. I loved it. Not to mention top 5 album from Chance the Rapper, Chicago Zone. All this to say that Clips beat out all of them for album of the year. An incredible work of art from Malice and Pusha T. I know Ross and I have had that in heavy rotation. We had a couple of the best films I've seen in recent memory, with Sinners and One Battle After Another, amongst a bunch of other fun ones that Ross will talk about shortly. Stranger Things coming to an end. And again, Ross will talk about movies and TV in a moment, but we lost on that note icons like Robert Reiner and Robert Redford, to Jane Goodall, to Ozzy Osbourne. It was, as they say, a year. What did I miss, Ross? What other things stood out to you before?
I think to start off, unfortunately, about an hour or so ago, we lost Isaiah Whitlock Jr. RIP to him. Great character actor, The Wire.
I had the soundbite for
his Wire. Yeah, I know. I tweeted he's in one of my favorite movies, 25th Hour, where he actually unveiled that S-word line for the first time ever. I think in sports, I think Rory McIlroy winning the Masters this year was like, yeah, that was a great story as well. You talked about the World Series. I think baseball having that large moment again and baseball kind of being back was awesome as well. The Lane Kiffin thing was super weird, going back to that. And then, of course, from a basketball standpoint, I think the trade heard around the world. Just Luka getting traded on a random Saturday night at like 11:30 was just absolutely shocking. People thinking that Shams was hacked and that and all the fallout from stuff like that too. But I know we're going to talk about pop culture right now. I think it was another great year in terms of movies and TV and music. I created a quick top 5 for all 3. So
let's go.
Let's do it. I think I'll start with music first. I think my 5 favorite songs of the year. A little bit of a mix of R&B and hip hop. I put Mariah the Scientist on here. Burning Blue. I think I hum that song at least 10 times a day. I think it's just a super catchy song. It's on TikTok all the time and everywhere. You talked about Nas dropping an album this year, but so did Mobb Deep. Mobb Deep dropped an album this year. And on that Mobb Deep album is a song with Georgia Smith and Nas called Down For You, which is just, people need to go back to that Mobb Deep album. I think it was really, really classic stuff. The production from Havoc. Hearing Prodigy again was awesome. You talked about Jid having an album. I think Bodies this year, the song that he had with Offset, that Drowning Pool sample of bodies, like the bodies at the floor, just having that in a hip hop song was classic to me. And then for all the haters out there, listen, DTMF, Bad Bunny, get ready to learn Bad Bunny in the next couple of weeks. You realize that he is a global icon and arguably the most popular artist in the world. He dropped another classic album this year, and that song is absolutely phenomenal. I would not be surprised if he finished the Super Bowl with that song. And my number 1 song of the year is FICO from Clips. I think that song just has gotten so much burn in my house. I think Malice had the verse of the year. Shout out to Stove God Cooks for writing the hook for that song. I just think it is a classic hip hop song. It's exactly what I want from hip hop.
Stove God Cooks came out with clips at the Chicago show too, which I was lucky enough to see.
Yeah, and looking forward to 2026 because he's going to drop an album in 2026, and that's going to be on my much anticipated. I'm a huge fan of his, and the whole Griselda click. They dropped some. Conway dropped an awesome album a couple weeks ago as well too.
I know we both got personalized messages from Clips for being in the top listening percent, whatever 1% it is of listeners to Clips. It was on heavy repeat.
Yep. My top 5 favorite TV shows of the year. Starting at number 5, The Rehearsal. I think Nathan Fielder is the weirdest, strangest, most uncomfortable in person I've ever watched on TV, and it works. It works every single time. I have never seen anything as ridiculous and strange and yet brilliant as The Rehearsal. And so I know he's not everybody's cup of tea. You have to watch this season of The Rehearsal. I think what he was able to pull off was just nothing short of brilliant. Adolescence from Netflix is on my top 5 as well. Netflix show, shout out to Stephen Graham. I think as a parent, that one made me very uncomfortable this year watching that. But the acting, the writing, I think I was absolutely brilliant. And I just could not get enough of that show. Number 3 on my list, Apple TV dropped Pluribus, which just wrapped up their first season about a week or 2 ago. From Vince Gilligan, who's creator of Breaking Bad. It's just one actress basically for 90% of the time, but she is lifting up that entire show, and you can see the vision of what's going to happen going forward. I think it was just an amazing debut season from them. Number 4 on my list was Task, HBO, Mark Ruffalo, Philadelphia crime show. That is the most Ross Reed coded show of all time. Just give me a whodunit crime show, a kind of a Heat style, robber and cop going after each other, and the ending I think was absolutely brilliant. And then my number 1 was The Pit. The Pit was just, that's what TV is. That's what TV was when we grew up. It was 15, 16 episodes, an hour long. It was captivating. It tugged on your heartstrings. It had the action, the drama, and we're getting season 2, most importantly, in like 2 weeks. And so I love it when these shows go the opposite of like Severance and Game of Thrones. It's like we get a new season, boom, right back at it. Like let's go right back in it. I don't need to wait 3-4 years to see the pit again. Let's just jump right back in it. So those are my 5 favorite TV shows of the year.
My sixth man would be The Studio. I really enjoyed that. You know,
Apple's
we're talking about Apple just killing it. Season 3 of Shrinking coming soon. I talked about Pluribus. We didn't even mention the other bits of their lineup, but that was an outstanding project from Seth Rogen and company. That's all, you know, every episode is basically like one long shot, which is impressive enough, and cameos galore.
Yep. 5 favorite movies of the year, and these are movies I don't think are the best movies of the year. I think a couple of them are, but these were my favorite of the year. And now there's a caveat: I have not seen Marty Supreme yet. I think that will sneak into this list. I will try and watch it before the end of this week, and I think it'll get in there. But number 5 for me was Weapons from Zach Cregger. We talked about Weapons. People know my love for horror movies. I think it's a perfect movie. I rewatched it again the other night with my wife, and goddamn, that movie just still holds up. And shout out to Amy Madigan, who of course was the wife on Field of Dreams, and for her to come back and play the aunt in the movie and do it so well, she should be nominated for an Oscar. But I'm excited to see what Zach Cregger continues to do, because coming off of Barbarian and this, he is going to be a very special horror director for a while. Number 4 on my list was Eddington, which is a movie with Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal. It is a very uncomfortable movie about a small town and a mayor and a sheriff dealing with COVID and their conflicting views on COVID. And then it kind of turns into like Old Country for Old Men for at the end of the movie. Like the last 30 minutes, I highly recommend Eddington. It's going to make you uncomfortable, but I still think you should watch it. My last 3 were my best 3 experiences in the theater this year, just from a big screen, the sound, the movie stars, how it looked, everything about it. It was just the most fun I had in the movies this year. And it was F1, it was Sinners, it was one battle after another. I think those 3 movies, if you can at some point see it on the biggest screen possible, as loud as possible. F1 is what blockbusters are supposed to be like during the summertime. It's loud. You've got a aging movie star. You've got an emerging movie star in Damson Idris. It looks cool. You can tell they spent a lot of money on it. The cars go fast. It's just everything I want. Sinners, what more can you say about Sinners? I think Ryan Coogler, he did it. He created an original genre movie. He cemented Michael B. Jordan as a superstar. Haley Steinfeld is also going to be a superstar. And I think that was the biggest bet of the year that paid off the most. And one battle after another is the movie of the year. It's going to win Best Picture. Dynamite performances from Leo and Benicio and Tiana Taylor and Chase Infinity and Sean Penn. It's just an absolute brilliant movie from start to finish. I think PTA is one of the 5 best active directors right now. He's done Boogie Nights and Punch Drunk Love and There Will Be Blood. And I think this one was like his culmination of all that together. This was his magnum opus and just a classic film. Why you go to the movies why you go to theaters to watch movies, in my opinion.
3 of those movies, Warner Brothers movies, and they've had, I mean, in amidst all this talk of, them getting acquired, they had
Superman. And they had Superman.
And they had Superman on top of that, yeah, which was a pretty fun reboot. When you figure them restarting the franchise, and you talk about that movie going experience, I still have to watch Train Dreams. I watched Frankenstein and Jay Kelly, and like some of these movies, I definitely like Frankenstein. I would love to see in theaters for sure. But I mean, it's hard to argue against that top 5 list. I think Begonia, we're talking about Emma Stone for Best Actress nominations, but really, like when it comes down to Oscar season, which is quickly approaching, it's Sinners and it's one battle after another, and then it's everybody else, in terms of the cinematography, the actors, the actresses, the directing, just everything really perfect in those huge, very, different movies. But what they have similarly is just their, eye-popping, great soundtracks and just great two of the best directors working in the game right now. So
That's
love
the key.
those lists, Ross. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's the key. That's the key is we're getting some of the best directors, and next year we're getting some amazing directors coming back. We get a Spielberg movie next year, and so I think the movies, to your point, watching movies at home, I think is fun. I watch like 5 to 10 movies a week at home, but that experience of seeing some of these movies in the theaters, I know people have had a hard time going back to the theaters since COVID, and it's difficult, and it's spending money and getting a sitter and stuff like that. But if you can go to a theater, especially to see some of these big tentpole projects like the top 3 that I said, please go ahead and do it. It is, treat yourself to a big tub of popcorn and an IPA like I do all the time, and sit down and enjoy yourselves in the movies.
Did you say 5 to 10 at home?
Yeah, a week. Oh yeah.
Oh God damn, Ross.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Love that for you, my friend.
I've been off of work since the Friday before last, and I have watched 18 movies at home in that time span.
I've watched 18 probably in the year. Good for you, my friend. Follow at Second City Gridiron for all your Bears news. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Spotify, iTunes. Like, subscribe, tell a friend or two. Of course, follow at WC Gridiron on social media as well. Windy City Gridiron for all the Bears content. It's been a great year. Thank you, guys. Hope you all have a happy new year, happy, healthy 2026. You're ready for another year of opportunities to make the most of our time here on Earth. And as the late, great Jane Goodall has said, each one of us matters, has a role to play, and makes a difference. Ross and I thank you greatly for spending a little time with us this year to talk Bears, sports, pop culture, and much, much more. Grateful to Ross, you, my man, for doing the show for now over a decade at this point in some form with me. Can't wait to see what the future holds, my friend. Happy New Year to you and yours.
Absolutely. Happy New Year to you and yours. Everybody at home, please make it a happy one, a safe one. Hug your loved ones while you have them around. And let's get some Bears W's in 2026, please.
Quick prediction for Bears Lions on Sunday.
27-10 Bears.
27-10 Bears.
Step on their throats.
Go out on a high note. I love that. Let's go 25-17 Bears.
Nice.
Let's both be right. Cheers. For now, we say deuces. Be good to each other out there. So long, everybody.